Deputy Presiding Officer, in this motion, the Scottish Government emphasises its commitment to Scotland being a good global citizen. But this commitment lacks substance. It's easy to say that Scotland and the world should be a champion of progressive values. Everyone in this Parliament would probably identify as an internationalist. We would all say we support Scotland being a champion for fairness, democracy and human rights. But achieving these goals requires fundamental change to our failed economic system. Because the global challenges that we face, from the climate emergency to vaccine apartheid, are a direct result of wealth and power being concentrated in the hands of a few. And that won't change while this government pats itself on the back with motions rather than bringing forward a real plan to tackle these international issues. No. The scale of the challenge could not be greater. The world's richest 10% now own over 80% of global wealth. There's a growing divide between the North and global South in terms of access to healthcare, education, housing and wealth. And the pandemic has exposed this divide, with the global South set to suffer from greater debt and lack of access to vaccines. They are also set to bear the brunt of the climate emergency. So the Scottish Government's commitment to increase its International Development Fund by 50% is a welcome step forward, but it doesn't go nearly far enough, especially in meeting their own self-image as an international progressive force. The Labour amendment calls for specific commitments from the Scottish Government on access to vaccines, and it highlights the importance of matching rhetoric with reality when it comes to promoting human rights. Because the Scottish Government's current action on human rights is totally inadequate. We see this in their refusal to address the activities of Police Scotland's International Development and Innovation Unit. This unit is proactively offering training and technical advice to some of the world's worst offenders when it comes to human rights abuses. Several organisations, from Pax Christi Scotland to Freedom from Torture, have highlighted that the Sri Lankan regime are engaging in the use of torture and state surveillance of human rights defenders. Police Scotland have claimed that their training activities with the Sri Lankan police are helping to promote gender equality and tackle gender-based violence. But as recently as August, Sri Lankan police confirmed that cases of intimate partner violence will not be taken to court. So how can anyone say that this training is working? Yet the activities of the unit extend far beyond Sri Lanka. Police Scotland are also offering technical advice to the police force in Colombia, a country which has faced long-standing allegations of human rights abuses and launched a major crackdown on recent protests. And what is the Scottish Government's response to this alarming activity? To repeatedly pass the buck to Police Scotland. Now, there's no point in having a Justice Secretary who isn't prepared to stand up for human rights and hold the police to account when things go wrong. Yet we have exactly that in Keith Brown. He avoids answering questions about human rights abuses, and he has nothing to say about Police Scotland providing political cover and legitimacy to these human rights abusers. So my question for the member today is, will he urge the Justice Secretary to seek an immediate suspension of Police Scotland's activities with any country which engages in human rights abuses? And will the Scottish Government launch a full-scale review of the International Development and Innovation Unit's activities? Deputy Presiding Officer, this debate has asked us all as MSPs to consider Scotland's role in the world. While the Scottish Government's motion seeks to paint a picture of Scotland as a progressive beacon, the reality at home and abroad could not be more different. It's yet another example of Scottish Government ministers talking progressive while failing to deliver real change.